Well, hey folks, today I want to expand a little bit more on the idea of the breaking point of a disc. And I'm not talking about how hard you have to smack a tree to break it, but more how it wants to fly. And it really kind of ties in with stability. And we're going to talk about it more right after the intro. Okay, I did a video and I'm working on, I don't know if it'll come before or after this, but talking about approach discs. And I was mentioning the breaking point of the disc. And what it basically is understanding how much angle, spin that you're gonna have to do. And angle, when I talk about angle, I'm talking about the vertical angle and the nose angle. So the attitude of the disc when you throw it, finding that right spot and that right speed to get it to react and land how you want it to. And if you understand the breaking point of a disc, you can shape it to get the shots you want. Now, the key to it is understanding each disc has its own kind of personality, and they change as the speed changes. I'm going to harp on that over and over again. Discs fly differently the faster or slower you throw them. That's why a disc for one person will fly a lot different for another person, because the arm speed, the way they're throwing it, the spin of the disc is going to change it. But for you, what you need to do, and this is where I want to reinforce, you need to put in the work. So often we just like to watch a video. We like to consume information and think, oh, I got it. No, you need to take your discs out and figure out their breaking point. And what that means is how they react, how overstable they are versus how understable they are at different speeds, because that's going to make a difference. So I'm going to try to do this with this, and it's probably going to be crap, but we're going to try. Remember, I am not a scientist. I'm just a guy out here trying to help you figure it out, help you think of ideas so that you can put in the work and figure out how to become a better disc golfer. Okay, I changed my mind. I decided the birdie is not going to show quite as much of a difference, those three, so I'm going to move up to mid-ranges, and hopefully this is going to show you a little bit better. We've got the deflector, which is a meat hook. It just, if I throw it backhand, it's just going to want to dive. I've got my trusty vector that's just point and shoot, and it's going to go straight for me. And then I've got my uplink, which is understable or flippy, and it's going to want to go to the right. So I'm going to throw each one of these to demonstrate what they are, and then we're going to talk about their breaking point. My intention is to throw right at the basket. I'm just going to throw each one of them flat at the basket and see if they will fly differently. I've got a crosswind coming across here, so it's going to want to hold a little, so you can really tell how stable this is by the way it's going to fight this wind. I threw that nice and flat right at the basket. Hopefully it'll show up on the video. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. I threw that a little low, but hopefully you could see it never wanted to deviate from just going straight. All right, now I'm gonna do it with the uplink. And it's just taking off to the right. I tried to throw those as close as I could to each other. Granted, there's going to be some variations, but you can see I used the three widest apart that you could see. One's going this way, one's going this way, and one's going this way. So now if I needed to use those for approach shots, I would have to throw them completely different. And we're going to talk about it right up here. Before we talk about all three of them, I'm going to use the uplink as my example disc because it's understable. If you saw me throw it, it's a -3, I believe. It's a -3 on its turn. It wants to go this way, and you saw that. But I can get this disc to act like it's overstable if I know about its breaking point and what I have to do to compensate for it. So for instance, let me get over here. If I throw this flat at it, and I put a lot of snap on it, it's gonna wanna go this way. I can counteract it in two ways. I can throw it softer so that it doesn't get up enough speed to turn, or I can get the nose up and make it climb so that as it runs out, it's going to dive back to the left. I can counteract the turn with nose angle and height. And so that's where understanding, that's kind of the whole break point is understanding where that division line is, where if I get the nose up here, it's not going to be able to go back over this way. If I'm going to throw an approach shot, I need to know where it is, where if I want this to land flat, how I need to throw it and with how much speed to get it to do its action and land how I want it to. So you have to study each of your discs, or at least, granted, you know how the uplink throws, so if you lose this one, you get a new uplink, you have a good base of understanding where to go, and then you need to get out and throw it to really get to know that disc. But so if I was gonna throw this and try to get it to hyzer in, even though it wants to go anhyzer, it wants to turn, I'm gonna have to counteract it by, first of all, I'm gonna put it on a little more hyzer, but I'm also gonna do the nose up a little bit more. Do you see how it was acting? Even though it's understable, because I didn't throw it hard and I got nose up, it never left this. It tried to go a little bit, but then it just, all it could do is ride and drop back to the left. I never broke the point, hit the break point where it could roll over. And understanding that is a big leap forward in understanding how to control and shape your discs and your shots with whatever disc you have. If you understand its breaking point, you can start to manipulate it a lot better. Let me go grab it. All right, so you think maybe you're getting a little bit of it, but what does it mean? Especially for approach shots. This is where I think approach shots can really teach you a lot about discs and about how you understand discs, but how good you can get at your approach shots. So for instance, see the tree right in front of the basket here. So from this spot, I've got to decide how I want to approach that basket. And do I want to go forehand or backhand? Let's say I'm limited at this point right here to a forehand. So I'm gonna be over here. Now I've got the deflector and I'm just gonna throw this flat out here and let the overstability of it naturally pull it back to the basket. I should throw this nice and flat. And it curves to the basket. Okay, but for the vector, we know that it's gonna fly flat. So if I do that exact same shot, it's probably gonna hit that big tree to the left because it's just gonna carry straight. So I'm gonna have to counteract that by dropping the angle down, the wing down, but I'm also gonna be throwing up a little bit higher so that I'm gonna go up, climb the hill, and then it's gonna drop down the hill. So the height is gonna give it more stability in essence. It's gonna act more stable because it's going up the hill, it's gotta come down the hill. So I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm dropping the disc down. Let me do this just a little bit, maybe. I'm gonna drop the disc down and I'm going up here. Now you see, I really needed to push it out even farther. Did you notice how I got the nose up and it cut on the inside? It really kind of cranked over here. I was overcompensating for the flatness and I threw it too down and too high. I needed to drop that a little lower. I needed to throw that one like I'm about to throw this one. So I'm gonna come out here. It goes up and then it starts to dive back. Now I hope you noticed that one went further before it dropped, and that's why you might want to use that when you need a shot like this. We naturally think, oh, I got to do this around the corner here. I'm gonna grab an overstable disc. Well, what if there's an object that you have to make sure you get past before you drop? Well, that's when an understable disc might be the very thing you need to push farther, because remember, it's gonna wanna roll, but if you put it on edge, it's gonna wanna roll. All it does is keep going straight before it runs out of steam at the top of the hill and has to drop. So understanding the breaking point of a disc can let you make some great shots that you couldn't make with just a regular one-shot disc. Not one-shot disc, one angle shot. We often just think hyzer, 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 but we need to start thinking beyond that, making S-curves and flippy shots to be able to get shots that you can't do with just a hyzer shot. Okay, let's go grab them. Okay, now guys, remember, anything I demonstrate on one side, it's the same principles on the other side. So if I show a forehand, it's gonna act the same way just on the other side for a backhand. So use your mind, be able to flip it around. So if you're left-handed and I'm showing you right-handed stuff, just know everything is opposite. Or if I'm showing a forehand, just flip it around for the backhand. Okay, so now, hopefully you get that. Hopefully there was a little bit of an aha moment there. But so now we're looking at this basket here, and I wanna go on this side of the tree. Well, the uplink seems like a perfect choice for this. And most of the time it is. Now, I'll talk about why it's probably the best choice for this side too in just a minute, but we're gonna pretend like we're just blank slate right here. All right, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw this out, and I'm gonna throw it maybe even just a touch anhyzer so that it's gonna flip up and ride straight. I'm gonna just try to throw it right at the basket. You see, I got a little nose up, but it's still, you see, hopefully you saw it was trying to curve over this way. I just get nose up, and so it floated up. Not my best forehand. All right, same thing with this one. I know this is pretty flat, so I'm just gonna give it a touch, just a touch of Anheuser. And let it float on in there. This is the guy that's gonna cause me trouble. And the reason why, this is what I was talking about earlier, because of all this stuff up here. All this greenery eliminates my ability to take this thing and swing it out wide and bring it in. Because remember, I talked about over here, to counteract the flippiness, you send it up higher and throw it with more hyzer on it. You counteract it by height. Well, I need to counteract this with height, but the height I need to counteract it with is blocked by the bushes. So this would not be a good shot for this, but the good news is I can move the camera. So now, granted, the basket's behind the tree here, but what I can do is I can counteract this wanting to go left by throwing it out on more of an angle. And I can crank it over so that it's going up and it's diving down the hill, just the opposite of here. I want to go higher up the hill with the nose up, so it's climbing the hill. Well, this one I want to throw, in essence, with the nose down. So it's already starting to try to go up, but dive down the hill. So it's going to counteract some of what it's trying to do, and it's going to dive at the basket. It's almost like I'm trying to throw a roller over here, but I need to give it enough height so that it's going to carry until it gets to the basket. Ideally, if you're doing this right, your approach shots, if you're throwing right and you've got the breaking point down right, they're coming in flat at the basket. So in order for this to land flat, I need to throw it out here. I need to release something about like that, so that it comes out here, and by the time it's coming by those bushes, hopefully I'm gonna cut just inside of it, it's gonna be flat as it hits the basket. Now this is probably gonna be a train wreck, but let's try it, because those branches are not helping. I was trying to find a better place to practice this, but the course I went to wasn't working out, so here's what we got. Happens sometimes in disc golf, you just can't find the spot you need. All right, so I'm going, this is what I want right here. Boom. Hope you saw that. It's questionable with the sun in my eyes or whatever. But I even cooked it over just a touch. I mean, it was, I think I threw here and I need to throw here for it to have dove and cut back right at the basket. Now, I'm trying to show you excessive examples of this so that you can see it on video. But hopefully it's gonna make sense when you get out there with your disc and you start working on these things. You get your favorite buzz and you go, all right, if I throw it here, it's gonna roll over. But if I throw it here, I can get it to pan out and hit just right. You start to develop this dance with your disc and you understand, okay, 150 feet out, this much power right here is dead on the money every time. And that's where you start building that confidence. You build your bag, you understand what's going on with your disc. You understand each disc breaking point. And it's gonna be phenomenal when you start to understand that. And I swear I thought that guy running by was somebody else, and I lost it right there. I don't even know what I was saying. Let's go back. Once you get that in your head and understand the breaking point of your favorite disc, hopefully all your discs, but at least your favorite disc, and the reason why they'll be your favorite is because you know what they're gonna do, you can start to shape them and you can start to use them to get shots that you normally couldn't get. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing. I hope that helps. Please leave some questions, comments there that we can talk about this some more. But understanding the physics of the disc is really gonna help you understand what kind of shots you can make. I hope that helps. I really do appreciate you watching. And please like and subscribe if you haven't. And I hope to see you out on the course.